Alright, Odyssey of the Dragonlords, session 11. This session was a big turnaround from last week, which was tense and a lot was going on and some arguments were had. There's a video on it. But this week, we had to tackle a completely different issue, and that was losing a player and gaining a player. Now, Alexei, who I don't want to say that I've got favorites, but you know, he was amazing. He had to leave. This is a guy that was extremely excited about joining this campaign. I had quite a few people apply for this campaign, and he was one of the people selected. He was overjoyed to be a part of the game. I knew he was going to be a great fit for the group. And he went and got custom art and the whole deal. And his job, it just shifted hours on him, and he couldn't do it anymore. So he was, missing sessions, and he didn't want to keep doing that to the group, so he had to step down. Now, this happens in D&D all the time. It happens in paid D&D all the time. This is life. Life is complicated. In most D&D games, it's pretty easy, in my opinion, to find a good way to exit a character and from a campaign and then bring in a new character. It's maybe easy because I've been doing this for 26 years, but this particular time was very tough because even though we're only 10 sessions in, this is a character-centric, role-play-centric game that's also had some brutal combats, and the party has bonded pretty hard and pretty fast compared to like a lot of my groups. And a big part of that does stem from me sort of hand-picking the players and knowing that like these players are going to play well together and explaining so much about the campaign and the campaign expectations ahead of time. But when they found out they were losing Alexei, they were very sad. Now, that's one aspect of it. I mean, players are always going to be sad if they lose a great player from the game. But the campaign itself is sad because this is a character-driven campaign. It is written for the characters. Who the characters choose, what epic paths they have, that determines the stuff that happens in the game. I mean, it's huge. This is not a campaign, Odyssey of the Dragonlords, that you could just freely swap people in and out of the campaign. You will damage the narrative of the campaign. So finding out he was leaving was rough. Now, I've been doing this a long time, so I knew that I would inevitably lose one player. Group of 6, group of 4, group of 5, doesn't matter. There's attrition, there's turnaround, life happens. I figured, hey, we're going to lose somebody. I had a waiting list, and on that waiting list, I really had narrowed it down to just one person. And I liked the character that they applied for with the game, and it was an epic path that hadn't been taken yet. So, just in case, I had seeded information about that character ever since like the second or third session, I think. I've been seeding in information about that character, so that when the character showed up, it wouldn't be a complete shock to the rest of the party. Because narratively, I wanted it to feel more natural to have this character show up. I wanted the character to already be a part of the world, already be invested in the game. And part of this strategy was I was willing to do this forever. Like, I was going to mention this character. I was maybe even going to have this character be an NPC if nobody dropped and the person on the wait list ended up not being available to play. I was still going to like own it that this character was also doing heroic stuff, also fighting alongside the party at times, sort of a guest character sort of thing. And that character is this Astraeus character right here. And so Alexei, being the doomed one, I still wanted Alexei to be part of the story. I still wanted Alexei to be a part of it because emotionally, the party is invested in him and he's invested in the story, and his destiny is a big part of the story. He, of all the characters, pretty much got screwed destiny-wise as the doomed one. Every time he thought he would find out what was going on in his life, what was causing him all this grief and strife, what was causing him to be essentially targeted by monsters constantly, killed constantly, and brought back in ever more painful ways, he wanted answers to that. And I kind of played that up, that he could not handle what was happening to him, and his impatience to discover the truth made him break from the fellowship and go off on his own. So you kind of have this sort of like edgelord loner character filling that trope there, and now I can do stuff with that. Does he show up at times to help them when his goals are aligned with the party? Does he get swayed by the Titans and become like a bad guy for a little bit and maybe get redeemed later? By doing this and not just killing him off, I also have the opportunity here that if later in the campaign somebody else has to drop for work or life or whatever, and Alexei's player is able to rejoin the campaign, he can, because I didn't just kill his character. I came up with something for his character to do that would still be meaningful, essentially off camera, just like I had been doing that for his potential understudy / replacement if the time came for that. This is, in my opinion, like way more advanced stuff than what I used to do, you know, when I was younger, which was, hey, you gotta quit, you want to die in your last session, like, I can make that happen for you. Oh yeah, that'd be cool, go out like a crazy superhero. Yeah, killing somebody off is cool, but it also means if they ever come back, they have to make a new character, or some nonsense where the character didn't really die, Sherlock Holmes style, or they came back to life or whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is, depending on the campaign, transitioning out a hero and transitioning in a new hero can be very, very difficult. Given the nature of this campaign, I will not be allowing any additional players. So if I lose anybody else, I'm just going to lose them. I'm not going to fill the spot. Hopefully we don't drop below like 4, because that would be terrible. But yeah, I don't want to have a revolving door of characters in a campaign where each character has such a huge impact on the story and the narrative. I can't possibly do that to this campaign. The writing is too good, it's too interesting, and I'm just not going to do it. In other games, sometimes turnover rate is tremendous, and I will say from experience that a fast turnover rate, whether it's player characters or players themselves, it is damaging to an ongoing narrative. It's never easy to deal with. But in this particular instance, I felt like I handled it really well, and I think I handled it really well because I acknowledged after reading the adventure that in this campaign it was gonna count 10 times what it would normally count, because again, it's just that character driven. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on at length about different techniques for, you know, bringing in new characters and taking out other characters, but I don't want to make a super long video about it right now. And I'm sure other opportunities will arise to discuss this further, so it's something we'll revisit later on. Hope everybody stays safe and healthy, and I will catch you in the next video.